My name is Clay Malott. I'm an author for snowbrains.com, and I'm going to be going over the next sort of 2 to 3 weeks and looking at what's next for these next couple storm systems, seeing where the good snow could be. So this is right now. This is 4 p.m. Pacific on January 14th. You can see we have this big storm that's been moving through the Midwest the last couple days. Has brought some pretty serious weather, lots of snow squalls and high winds, and a lot of snow to the Midwest. Unfortunately, didn't hit the mountains too hard. But that's okay because we have a couple of good systems lined up here for the next couple weeks. So looking in the near future, we have a very high and dry pattern sort of set up over the western U.S. So unfortunately, it will be pretty dry here for the next couple of days. However, we have this storm that could clip maybe eastern Colorado, could get some in Montana and a little bit in Wyoming, but not expecting much here in terms of snowfall. Moving forward, looking into the future, we have this pattern that doesn't even look like it really hits Washington. It sort of comes in northern Idaho, so look for Big Sky resorts in Idaho, and then moving down into the Tetons early Monday morning, January 18th here, and then we're moving down into the Wasatch and Colorado here, sort of peaking on moves down here, probably peaking late night to early morning on Monday to Tuesday, January 18th to 19th. You can tell this storm's sort of coming on this northwest flow. So in Colorado, and Big Sky will do well with this, but in Colorado, the resorts along the northwest of the mountains here are going to do the best. So think Steamboat, Aspen Snowmass, perhaps some resorts along the I-70 corridor could do really well with this storm. They typically do well with this northwest flow here, coming down sort of from the Pacific Northwest from Canada. So look for resorts sort of along this band, heading into Wasatch too. Then this storm sort of does something pretty interesting, and it hooks down to the southwest. And you'll see as it hooks down there, we'll get some lingering, hopefully, snowfall in the Wasatch and Tetons in Colorado. But this storm is intensifying as it moves off the coast. And then keep your eye on this system here. This system's going to move down and link up with this other system, and we get this huge area of low pressure, right? So this is geopotential height, so not an exact proxy for low pressure, but it is a pretty good correlation. So pretty good correlation with storminess and snowfall as well. So pretty much from the period of, early Monday morning on the 18th until, this storm sort of moves through. We have high precipitation rates up to the Pacific Northwest. Low pressure sort of lingering around the U.S. until about January 25th to the 26th. That's when that pressure system starts to really alleviate out of the Wasatch and Colorado. So we're looking at a good week long of sustained snowfall across a lot of the western U.S. there. So that's a really, really good sign heading into the next 2 weeks. Then after that, this sort of high and dry system sort of sets up above Colorado and Utah, and even shielding off the Tetons a little bit. We might still see some sort of lingering snowfall in the Sierra Nevada, and obviously in the Pacific Northwest. They've been doing well this year. But for the most part, this system is sort of driving things up to the north and over around. May get some good snowfall over here in the east around the 28th, 27th. And other than that, a small system may be coming in here to California at the end of the month. Then moving into February, we're sort of starting with this theoretically high and dry sort of system. Now let's zoom out to North America to see sort of what's down the atmospheric chain here, see if we've got any big storms coming up. So we sort of left off at around the 30th, right? So that's what I was talking about, that high and dry system there. But, not much in the way. This is that polar vortex that should hit starting, sometime in February. But, keeping our eye on this storm, maybe this could develop into something. This will be a warmer storm if it does hit land and bring any snow. But this storm could hold some potential in terms of snowfall. Now, shifting over to the College of DuPage site, let's look at some specific totals. So coming in right here, let me switch this to total snowfall. And this is that Midwest storm that I mentioned. Coming in here, we have some decent, trace snowfall totals. Up to 2 inches in Colorado. Northern Idaho could see up to 5 or 6. And moving on throughout the week, we see that first storm system come through, and this is where you can really see that storm track here. So it comes down, doesn't drop a ton of snow, maybe up to 8 inches in the northern parts of the state. That's what I was talking about with that northwest flow there. That northwest flow does really well. Sort of mountains that are exposed to the northwest do well with that sort of track. And then you could see the storm track sort of hooks back to the southwest, like I was talking about. You'll see the snowfall correlate with that. So you'll get interesting flows here in Arizona and New Mexico. Taos could do pretty decently, Arizona Snow Bowl, but you're looking at different aspects than you'd typically be looking at. Even getting into Baja California down here in Mexico could see a little bit of snow as well, which is interesting. But that storm continues to intensify off the coast. Then you've got that storm that comes down from the north and then moves up and meets it, right? And it comes over to the east. So you're looking at some pretty interesting totals there. So I'd say the main storm systems here. I mentioned that week of storminess between the 18th and the 25th. Continue to keep your eye out from that in that time period. Up in the Pacific Northwest, we're starting with about 8 inches here. Moving to the end here, we're probably looking at not much for the Cascades, actually. Surprisingly small amount in that week, maybe 9 to 10 inches. But down in Oregon, as you move further south, you're seeing some pretty big accumulations here. 52 inches. In the southern San Juans, you're seeing 37 inches. Central Mountains, Pickens County, Aspen Snowmass Resorts, you're seeing up to 40 inches. Steamboat, there could be a sort of a localized pocket in northern Colorado there around Steamboat by the end of that storminess. So you can see a little pocket up by Buffalo Pass maybe. And then, all these northwest mountains, we're going to continue to look and see if those do well. Other than that, let's just zoom to the very end. Look at total snow accumulations, and we'll do this section by section here just to make it a bit simpler. There's the Northwest. So looking at the Northwest, by the end, as I mentioned, that period of storminess is not going to be super productive for the North Cascades. But as soon as that pressure system starts to move through, you can see the snow totals are really ballooning up here. So, you're looking at 50 inches, pretty much uniformly across the Pacific Northwest, maybe even getting up into the 70s in points. So, northern Idaho is going to do well. The Tetons are going to do really well. 50 inches, that's pretty good snow totals for a transitional snow climate. Then moving down further south, the Sierra are not forecasted to start to get any snow until about the 23rd, and the snow start to pick up. Thank God, because the Sierra have not done very well. However, these storm tracks are sort of going to be limited to northern California. So down, by Mammoth and the eastern Sierra, you're really only going to see, 5-6 inches, maybe. That's probably the upper bound. Localized pockets of up to 30, but for the most part, I think these next couple of storms are going to favor mostly the northern mountains. So think Mount Shasta, right? Mount Shasta getting 50 inches, up to 80 inches in northern parts of the state. But Lake Tahoe might not get hit as hard as we hope it will. Maybe up to 20 inches, maybe a little bit more. But for the most part, that snow is going to be limited to Northern California. Wasatch continuing to do pretty poorly this season. Not much here. Maybe up to 15 inches, 18 inches, 20 inches, something around there. Still not doing well. As I mentioned, these northwest flows, they're going to bring the snow from the north and down. So that's why Utah has not been doing well this year. It's sort of relegated to this very interesting pocket that not a lot of storms have been hitting, and unfortunately just has not been getting a lot of snow. Localized pockets in Colorado could be seeing up to 40 inches. This looks like the highest total for all of Colorado. The Pickens County is the home to like Aspen Snowmass, and right near it in Gunnison County is Crested Butte. And both of those could do really well with these next couple storms. Up to 40 inches, and localized pockets up on Steamboat, maybe along I-70 somewhere. And then the San Juan Mountains, Telluride, Silverton, Wolf Creek, those will continue to do well as they have all season. So we are looking at some pretty interesting, hopefully productive patterns. It's too early to really pin down specifics here. But by the end of January, hopefully, a lot of places are going to get enough snow to get back up to, somewhat close to average, 80, 85%. I could see some of these Colorado resorts getting back up to 80%. Most of them are at about 65 right now. A lot of California resorts are in the 50s even, maybe early 60s. And I think if this snow materializes and really comes in, 75 inches up in Lake Tahoe will boost that number a lot. I think we could see up to maybe 75, 80% of average after these storms, if these storms materialize. And again, too hard to pin down specifics right now. However, we do know that this is sort of trending in the right direction, right? So we hope, we pray that these snow totals come through, but things are looking good from the long range models. Things should be pretty wet. Bring quite a lot of precipitation to the continental U.S. So that's the forecast analysis. We'll see you in a couple weeks.